You want me to go? Oh, you want me to go first? Huh?
Yeah, you're the one stepped up and offered it up.
Hey, I didn't offer it, but I will say this. My theory is I'm not quite sure we have the room to keep both KZ and Hooker. And the reason I say that is whoever makes the team, like let's say KZ for some reason, he's the starter. He wins the job. Do you want that free safety always playing, feeling like he has a short leash? Like if he messes up by any stretch of the imagination, oh, here comes Hooker right there. So he'd always be playing pretty tight, or do you want your free safety to play like, hey, this is my job. I'm playing loose. I'm flying out there. What's your thoughts on that, Brad?
Well, I think you have to take the group as a group. So you're gonna. A lot of people think they'll only keep 4 safeties. I'm keeping 5.
So you're going okay.
So Wilson's 1.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot.
I would say KZ, based on what we've seen in camp, is going to be 1.
Yes.
Certainly after tonight, and based on what we've seen in camp, I would say Curse is 1.
I would too.
Okay. Now you have Hooker, who is still hadn't played football in a year,
yes,
and you know what he was before he got hurt. So you got him.
Mm-hmm.
How many have we got so far?
That was 4.
No, not Hooker.
Oh, not Hooker.
We got 3.
Yeah, we got 3.
We got KZ. We got Wilson.
And we got Curse.
We got Curse. Now you got Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got Darian Thompson, who's been a coach on the field and a key member of their special team.
Special teamer.
Core. And you've got Mukwamu, who is a young player.
Very interesting prospect.
You are going to save a lot of money.
This is true.
Now, here's the other thing that you have to remember. You're going to put at least 2 players on injured reserve after the cut down to 53. If you put them on injured reserve before 53, they're out for the year. But if you with Gallimore and McEwen,
mm-hmm.
you don't want to do that because they're going to come back in a few weeks.
This is true.
But they're not going to be able to help you for a few weeks. So after you cut to 53, you then want to put them on injured reserve. So then you can bring them back in 3 weeks. Okay? Now you got 2 spots left. Now, if you waive Mukwamu, he's subject to waivers.
Yeah.
What happens with a vested veteran who is released?
What does happen with the new? Is there like a new rule on that?
It's not really new. A vested veteran who's released is not subject to waivers. And so if I say to you,
good point.
Hey, Church, I've got a real numbers issue here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to release you.
Mm-hmm.
But don't leave. Because tomorrow at 4 o'clock, after the waiver period's gone, because I don't have to put you on waivers because you're a vested veteran. I'm just going to release you. You can sign anywhere. I'm telling you, don't sign anywhere. Because tomorrow I'm putting that guy on injured reserve, and you're coming right back.
That makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah, okay.
And so you can do that with Thompson, for instance.
Okay.
You could do it with Hook, who I believe is a vested veteran.
Yeah.
And so you could see when the cuts to 53 are announced, you could see these guys released, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then 24 hours later, someone else is going to go on IR, and they're going to bring them back. So then the question would become, how are you going to use them? Now, Thompson's a core special teams guy.
You know what he's going to do on the teams, for sure.
And I don't know that you're going to get anything from Hooker on teams.
I don't think he's ever played teams.
I don't think he has either.
Yeah.
You might get a little from KZ.
Yeah,
you might get a little. So I think that and it's, are you going to keep 4 or 5? That's part of the other problem. But we know who 3 of them are.
That's true.
And then I think it's just how the numbers work. I don't think anybody got hurt tonight.
Everybody stayed healthy.
And that's really fortunate. So as long as nobody gets hurt in practice next week, then, you don't have any more injury situations to deal with than you've already got. So I thought Curse was a real plus tonight because he made plays in the running game. He made plays blitzing. He's a good team. He's a really good player.
He was really good on
teams and Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he is probably. Did I count him as the 3rd?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So I think you've got some options. I just don't remember when they've had options like that at that position in a while.
It's the deepest. We've said it before last week. I mean, this is the deepest, in my opinion, the safety unit has been for the Cowboys in an extremely long time.
Quite a long time.
Quite a long time.
Who's the backup quarterback for this team?
Well, that is really interesting because now I don't know what Mike will say. We'll hear him and somebody will ask him. But when you pull a guy like the way they rotated them was just not the same as they've done it the first 2 games.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So you see. Well, let's find out.
Mike McCarthy.
I'll stick around.
Brought to you by Pepsi, proud partner of the Dallas
Mike
Cowboys.
McCarthy, let's see what he got to say.
And you know if they took a test before they sent home, or were they just sent home because you didn't want to?
Dan Quinn and Carlos Watkins were put into the protocol about an hour, about 90 minutes.
Wow.
Rich was right around the officials meeting, right? So it was about 90 minutes before the game. Carlos first, and then Dan Quinn. So they're still in the protocol. So there's a number of steps that are part of the protocol. So with that, we'll continue to move forward. So we're just being extremely cautious, and we'll do so moving forward.
Was that a result of a test that was taken today or yesterday?
It's I couldn't tell you the specifics on exactly. I just got the information, like I said, right about 90 minutes before the game.
You don't know you expect Quinn. I mean, it's protocol. Is there like a certain time they have to be out or will be out?
No, it's the
7
protocol.
days,
There's a
man.
number-
Shoot,
number of
7
different
days, a
tests.
week.
It's a
14
process,
days.
and they're at the beginning part of the process. We'll know more in the morning.
What made you have Joe call the defenses over?
Just speaking with Dan, just frankly,
Joe did a good job
Joe's
calling the
been with
defense.
Dan, for a number, a couple of years there, but also been with me, but really the part of Dan being in the box, Joe's already in the box, so we really didn't have to move, and we didn't have to move anybody else. So, especially with the timing of it, it was the smoothest transition. It's a great opportunity for Joe, frankly. So, Joe and I've worked together a number of years, decade over. So it was an easy transition, and I think once we got settled in after about the second series, I thought it went smooth.
Are you that concerned about it, Mike? Is this just a precautionary thing? With Coach Quinn being out, are you that concerned about it? Or
No, I'm going to trust the protocol. Talk to Dan. I'll speak with him as soon as I get done here. So I don't think he's overly concerned about it, but we got to be smart.
Right.
Without them, this was just a continuation of your starting defense, how well they played all preseason, and kind of built on it even more here.
Yeah, definitely. I think really the defense had a nice evening. It's if you look at just the way the game started, one of the emphasis we had coming out of the first 2 games is adversity defense, and we had a situation there after the turnover of our offense on the first series. We didn't hold them there, but really from that point on, I thought our defense played really well.
Defense played good, man.
Down, stats, but I don't think they converted a third down, and so we're getting off the field. They gave offense a number of chances. Just the overview of the game. The turnovers and penalties are obviously a huge negative. I'm sick about the turnovers. You just can't. It's a credit to our players, frankly, for how hard they fought and staying after it. But to be in a game that you're -4, it's just we're -3 going into the last series and still have a chance to win the game. So we talked about it, and well, I'm sure you'll be talking about it, but you can't win that way. It's not a part of the teams I've coached in the past, and it won't be moving forward. So you got to take care of the damn football, and we obviously didn't do that tonight.
Did you take out Gilbert earlier than planned?
Well, just the thing was really Garrett and Cooper. We wanted to give them more of a balanced opportunity, and Garrett's had more opportunities to Cooper to going into the game. So the goal is to give Cooper a little more than Garrett.
Can you assess how they did, both of them?
Garrett with the turnover, just didn't have the conversion on the second series. So it was obviously not his best night. I thought Cooper did a really good job managing the game, kept us in clean plays, handled the checks and the alerts very well, and obviously led the team on 2 drives. So I thought Cooper had a nice quarter and a half of work.
Randy Gregory.
Did Cooper kind of maybe change your mind a little bit about Garrett being the number 2 guy?
Well, I mean, it's we're getting down to crunch time here. It's time to start making some decisions, and You know, we got, frankly, we got a tough couple of days ahead of us. You know, going down to 80, going to the last game, that's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for everybody in the league. So, but all the way across the board, I'm answering the whole roster question. But so it's just all part of that thinking.
Randy Gregory played a couple series and then he came out. I saw he had like some ice on his knee. Is he okay, or is that just how much he was going to play?
I was frankly, we have no introduced report, so outside of losing, that's the number one positive I think coming out of the game. Hopefully it stays that way.
You mentioned on the quarterback thing that Garrett has taken all of the first team reps since Dak's been out and things like that. Was that this week you decided, okay, let's try and get Cooper more in there? What transpired in practice?
Well, I mean, you got to call Cooper. Cooper sustained 2 separate injuries throughout training camp. So
get out the way, Pig. Get out the way.
This is something that this week going into it, wanted to make sure that we gave Cooper a little more than Garrett.
Mike, Coach, would you carry 3 quarterbacks?
I'm sorry, I don't have a hard time
Would you
hearing.
carry 3 quarterbacks?
We carried 3 quarterbacks.
We carried 3 last year. I think when, and I believe this, and I've always stated this, especially at this time. It's up to the players to decide who's on the 53. Whether it's 3 quarterbacks, 10 linemen, 10 D linemen, 11 DBs. That's why you go about it. Now, this is unique as far as the roster development compared to prior years, and I'm talking about last year and this year, because you have the 16. You have the 16 practice squads. So, and also you have the veteran practice squad opportunities. So. A lot of moving parts to this, and we talked about this the other day. I mean, my goal is to make sure we come out of here with 68 players, particularly out of the men we have here right now.
Don't worry, Shed.
So from Cooper and Garrett to know that one of them
good.
will be your backup.
Well, we have one more week, and we're going to need it.
I guess what I'm asking is, are you still looking at other guys outside, or?
Well, I think that's what Will McClay and their staff's always doing. I mean, that's why we work the hours that we do, and I think every NFL player and every NFL personnel department, you're always ranking your guys against the rest of the league.
How did Dak look?
Let me eat some popcorn too, man.
Out of his pregame work.
Hit the target for the number of throws. Had a chance to watch it. I thought he looked good, and the most important thing is how he feels afterwards. So I thought he had another good day, and the opportunity going back to back is important. So still continue to build up on the volume of throws.
You're counting the throws. How many was the target today?
Well, didn't you count them?
I don't know if you guys had a count that you're.
Well, then he went too many. He was supposed to go 46. Was it 51? No. So.
Kelkin says 51 to 52.
Oh, he was 51 out 52.
Yeah, he missed Zeke down the right sideline. He had 6 extra.
I think Zeke didn't set the angle high enough, but that's me. But, no, but he was scheduled to throw 46 to 50 snaps. That's what was scripted.
Amari Cooper, did he look fine in the work you got?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Amari's had a great week of practice. Just to really get him back in there was the point, and frankly we just played Amari, Michael, and CD. It was the first 2 series, so and just wanted to give him
get some more popcorn, baby.
I'm not exactly sure how it came out.
On the screen that followed, it looked like he had 2 decent blocks from Collins and Zach Martin. Those guys didn't play together last year. What does it mean to see those guys out there and get this?
I mean, it's great to have those guys out there. I mean, just to, obviously Ty and, Zach, just to, really to see them in practice every day too, just to see the combinations. And, I thought both corners are having a really good camp. Tyler did some good things, but, it's, your O-line's a big part of your success in this league. So it's great to get those guys working together. Not only tonight, but throughout the last couple of weeks on and off.
Your thoughts on the tight end performance tonight?
Tight end? It's good to see Blake. It's great to have Dalton back out there. I mean, you talk about an excellent 1-2 punch. I mean, it's just great to have both those guys. It definitely makes our 12 personnel group a whole different group. And I think anytime your 12 personnel has the flexibility that they give us to be a 1-back team, to be a 2-back team, and also to be an empty team. So I think that speaks volumes to how we feel about both those guys. So it's great to have them on the field together.
What do you tell a guy like Ben after tonight's performance?
You tell Ben right here.
He needs some milk.
I think he knows more disappointed than he is. I mean, because he knows the opportunity.
Hey, this is how we look for Ben.
He had this evening, and I thought he did a good job, using his feet, and he needs to use his feet. He's an excellent athlete, and, but at the end of the day, it's turnovers are a huge part of being successful in this league, and you have to take care of the ball. And with that, we'll evaluate it, the decisions, the throws, and but he needs to play much better than that.
That's Mike McCarthy.
He needs some milk.
Cowboys, Ari Temkin, Barry Church, and Brad Sham. And Brad, before we cut you, your thoughts on what McCarthy said there?
Don't say before you cut me this time of year, please.
Yeah.
Church, will you please tell him?
I'll let him know for sure.
Will you please tell him that you cannot say that to someone right now?
Gave me the chills right there.
Thank you.
Goodness.
Good. Words matter. I thought we discussed that before the game.
Well said.
Hey, he clearly said that second quarterback job is wide open.
Yeah.
And,
wide open.
And he can say whatever he wants, but I've seen every snap in practice. And Garrett Gilbert didn't get any fewer, or Cooper Rush any more, first-team reps in practice. Mm-hmm. So, to me, with what Gilbert did and his contributing to the turnover, and I'm sure they wanted to get Rush more work. There was just something about that said, and he's not going to say it, but there was something about that, didn't it to you?
Oh,
You're a player that said
he was injured.
I thought he got hurt.
Right?
But it was...
So he wasn't hurt. He just had his feelings hurt.
That's what it was.
And so then, now Rush comes in and does what he does. And
somebody get this pig.
I think they know who Garrett Gilbert is. I'm not sure they know. Remember,
Jason Garrett knows who he is. Right.
This staff
get back, pig.
has not been around Cooper Rush all the years that we have.
This is true.
And they need to see more. And what they do next week will be very interesting to me.
Legendary Brad Sham. Brad, thank you.
The
Thank
legendary.
You. Very
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All good.
Give it all
Shout out
good
to
in
Barry.
here.
Thank you, brother.
Don't
Thank you.
say cut.
Man, I'm telling
Don't say cut. Oh, my God.
I got visions of Bruce Mays coming
Thank
out.
you.
Jesus.
Thank you.
Brad Sham joining us here inside AT&T Stadium. Your phone calls, your thoughts, all on the way next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Hey, shout out to Chris who called in earlier, man, and said, hey, man, look, it was a couple of games ago. Chris called in and said, I listen to Law Nation at 105.3 The Fan. But, man, oh, man, they need to figure out something with this backup quarterback. And Mike McCarthy just sit there and said, okay, it ain't my responsibility. That's pretty much Will McClay and Stephen Jones' responsibility. So somebody reach out to the DallasCowboys.com when they do the mailbag questionings and say, hey, bring in somebody. We tired of this backup situation. Sir, is no glory hole tonight, but we tired of it, man. And as good as we think, or we're led on to believe that even Cooper Rush, for what he was able to do, there was still some more stuff, some more meat left on the bone. I take everything serious, man. And cool, calm, and collected is not the way for me. I just couldn't be like that for Mike McCarthy to sit there with a straight face and say, yeah, Ben DiNucci did some great things. Oh, hell no. Oh, no. Not your boy. I would have came out and said, hey, you can't be giving up 3 turnovers now. And Garrett Gilbert, now we know who's eating Gilbert's grapes. The Texans. Oh, we'd have been moving some stuff around. That's why I ain't no coach. No. Yeah, Ben did some good stuff. I said, where? I wanted to tell Coach, lean forward just a little bit. Come on now. It's time out for this. We see the backups of the backup quarterbacks on every team we played thus far. Move the ball a little bit, just a little bit. Didn't stalemate this thing all the way out. No. So the Steelers' backup quarterbacks, you need to bring them in if they cut them down for a cup of coffee, for crying out loud. And the previous team from Arizona, especially number 15, if he's available for just a small cup of coffee. Hey, and then on top of that, not to say that these quarterbacks that we just played against gave us anything, but man, just go to show you, that was their 4th string. When he got down to Jeff Driscoll, that was their 4th. Yeah, let me see if they're back. They're still on commercial break. But, it just wasn't one of those things, man. The defense did their job. And Rob Jarman, I ain't really feeling Nick Foles. No, I'm not feeling that one. He folded. Did we just see Nick Foles the other day? Excuse me, what team do Nick Foles play for again? Y'all put it in the comment box because I'll probably be watching the wrong team. Y'all let me know what Nick Foles did the other day. They're still on commercial break. The Gooch. The Noochie. He played for the Bears. How did he look like real talk? Who did Nick Foles, who he played for? How did he look? All right, so the defense looked good to me. I like what I seen out of the defense. And on top of that, primarily by having your assistant calling the defensive plays, that looked pretty good and still aggressive. Because I can only imagine what this defense would have looked like if Dan Quinn would have called it tonight, primarily with those starters out there. So we got to understand that was also a hesitancy on his defensive side. Edmund, yeah, Danucci. Somebody said Danucci was colorblind, Yeah. Foles didn't play. He played sometime. I thought I saw a highlight of him doing something bad. But to me personally, Cowboys need to figure out this backup situation and scenario. If they do decide to play or bring in a Nick Foles, they need to do something.
On the touchdown pass, the back of the end zone, what were you looking for and what did you see to get the ball back there?
Cooper rush.
Yeah, we got a good coverage pre-snap, and you had said one-on-one, so it was a pretty easy matchup working him all day on that one. And he won at the top, went and got the ball at in the corner, and made it look pretty good.
I apologize if you were asked this, but did you come in sooner than expected tonight?
They said a couple series for Garrett, I think a couple series for me. So it's all based on the flow of the game. So didn't really expect a certain time or end of the quarter you're up in the second quarter, anything like that. It was more just flow of the game.
Is it hard to stay ready, not knowing when you're going to get called in that kind of situation?
It's part of the job as a backup.
Part of the job, yeah.
You're used to it all the time. It's what you do. So you're going in. I knew I was going in the first half. So you get ready, and you're always ready. You're in the game. What are they doing on defense? You get to see the first few series and then get to jump right in.
Did you feel you had to prove something to this? Maybe McCarthy. Obviously, they brought you back last year, even though you had the experience with Kellen Moore. They chose not to go with you when it was time to play, and now you kind of had an uphill battle, even though you have history here with Kellen Moore in this offense.
Yeah, it's always an uphill battle. You're competing every camp. You're always hanging on. You're always trying to get a roster spot, get the 2 spot. That's kind of the mentality for every guy in here, and me especially. Just try to get in here, get your reps, and capitalize on those reps, whether games or practices. And always out here just trying to make the team. It's the job.
How banged up have you been? I think you had was it your back early on in camp and then your shoulder after the Pittsburgh game?
Yeah, Pittsburgh we had a little shoulder issue. No, it's good now. Luckily, it wasn't anything serious. Avoided a major issue, which I'm thankful for. But it's been getting back on track, and hasn't really affected anything.
Is it on the hit, the shoulder, or?
Yeah, just the classic QB. Land on it. The guy lands on you.
You guys good?
Thank you.
Man, they ran out of questions real quick for him.
Who certainly had his best game of the preseason, really the best couple of drives for any Cowboys offense this preseason. Cowboys have managed 3 touchdown drives the entire preseason. 2 of them came in this game with Cooper Rush leading the offense, and they were impressive drives.
Yeah, they were very impressive drives, especially, he's going against the ones on the other end. And he looked very cool, calm, and collected back there. I didn't think he looked very rattled at all. He was able to put the ball right where the receivers needed it to be. He didn't let the defense get any type of opportunity to make a play on the ball. And I love that touchdown, Pat. Not the touchdown to Ced Wilson, but the screen to Pollard. I love how he set that up. he let the defensive line come to him. That way he sucked them all in. He threw it over the top of their head. There's Pollard for the easy touchdown. I felt like this was his best game, like I said before. He just looked very calm to me out there. Ari, I mean, what's your thoughts on him on that?
No, exactly. And you're right. It's funny because the Wilson touchdown looked more impressive, but reading the defense, having Pollard sneak out, and then finding him for that touchdown was very impressive. I mean,
they give it too much credit, man.
Pollard
earned that touchdown. Stop and go.
Horribly boring.
Stagnant. Yeah.
I mean, stagnant turnovers. You
gotta give credit to
sacks,
Pollard for that touchdown.
Not knowing what you need to do. I mean, just an endless amount of boring play from the offense, and so it's just been different with Cooper Rush out there.
Let me ask you a quick question here, Ari. What did you feel like that starting offensive line looked like today? Those guys, the first time being able to play all together since 2019, what did you feel like they looked today?
Well, so the first drive, there was the strip sack on Gilbert,
Texas
but I kind of thought that was on Gilbert.
Yeah, I feel like he held it a little too long, stepping up in the pocket.
Climbed the pocket, and it's like at some point you can't just keep climbing. You got to get rid of the football.
Exactly.
But I would say overall I wasn't overly impressed.
Yeah, it looked kind of leaky to me.
Yeah.
You know, it looked kind of leaky out there. You know, it just didn't feel like, you know, and that may be a little bit of rust. You know, these guys haven't played together. They haven't had a lot of snaps in camp. You know, a lot of those guys were nursing injuries, so this was their first time actually going out there. But it just looked kind of rusty to me. I mean, guys were kind of just, you know, kind of sluggish around. There was no push at the line of attack. I mean, I feel like Houston did a great job of stalemating at the line, coming in there, kind of stifling our run a little bit, especially on those Pollard runs. So, I'm not too concerned about it because I'm sure they'll get in the game mode, they'll get rolling. But week one's coming here fast, and we got some studs on that other side coming in.
I'm not sure that they have their top 5 starting.
Okay.
I think if you said who are the Cowboys' 5 best offensive linemen, then Connor McGovern would be on there.
Okay.
I just don't know. You have to balance the inexperience of a guy like Connor Williams, who was a left tackle in college, who's played left guard his entire career here now. You have to balance his, inconsistencies at center.
That's true.
And he did play a little center today and didn't fumble any snaps, so that's a good play. But I just think if you're naming the 5 best offensive linemen, Connor McGovern's one of them.
Should be in there. Okay.
I just think Biotish is their best center, and that's the problem.
I believe that as well, and that's the one thing with me and Connor Williams at that left guard. I'm not so sure he has enough bricks in his pocket. I mean, I've seen this guy get pushed back a lot, and that's very concerning because when outside pressure, quarterbacks can step up in the pocket. Mm-hmm. They can handle that. They can feel that.
Yeah.
But when you got guys barreling down right in front of you, it's kind of tough, and it kind of makes it hard for that quarterback to at least make plays downfield. If you got people barreling down in front of you, you're always going to look to check it down. You're always going to look to throw it out this way.
Facts.
It's kind of hard that way. So hopefully, they said he's going to be their starting left guard. Hopefully he comes, week one ready to roll because, like I said before, that Tampa Bay front, there are no scrubs out there.
No joke.
There's no joke.
Yeah.
Ndamukong Suh's coming.
And they've got, you look at this schedule, they're going to have a really, really good defensive fronts. Throughout, obviously, in the division and outside.
Exactly.
They don't play a lot of great quarterbacks in terms of the opponents when you're looking at the schedule. They, aside from Brady and then Herbert week 2, there's just not much in terms of opposition quarterbacks. But the defensive lines they're going up against,
fierce now. Even in their own division, both. Yeah. Look, Washington, their whole defensive line is riddled with first-round picks.
Yeah.
The Giants' defense last year, they were slept on a little bit, but the
top 10
Giants' defense last year was pretty formidable. And then you got Philadelphia, who, they might have the worst of all, but they still got clocks in there. They still got Brandon Graham coming off the edge. So it's going to be interesting to see how long it's going to take for this offensive line to gel going into the regular season.
Cowboys are 0-3 in the preseason. They will conclude the preseason next week at home against the Jaguars. A noon kickoff. They lose 20-14 to the Houston Texans. And the post-game show is brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resorts, home to over 8,500 of your favorite electronic games, more than 1,000 table game seats,
shout out to
and
WinStar.
1,400 luxury hotel rooms. It's always a good time at WinStar World Casino and Resort, the official casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Barry Church on Twitter at BarryChurch42. I'm Ari Temkin on Twitter at Ari Sports. And, of course, you can always join the post-game show with your questions and thoughts on this game or on the preseason overall at 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. Want to repeat and make mention that Carlos Watkins and Dan Quinn were both placed in COVID protocol 90 minutes before kick Mike McCarthy confirmed that. We heard that right after kick in the press box. They made the announcement again. Dan Quinn, Carlos Watkins in COVID protocol. We don't know the specifics of it.
Yeah. And that's the tough part. I mean, like, is it, contract tracing? Is it,
positive test?
It's tough. I mean, like, when a regular season comes around, big game, man, at DC, he had to go home. Like, I mean, that's a slippery.
That's how it goes.
It's obviously not something you've ever experienced
at all. Yeah.
Tell me what that would be like. I mean, as a defensive player, 90 minutes before kick, you find out, hey, our defensive coordinator's not going to be here.
That's tough. That's tough because even though he's not on the sidelines with you, he's going to be in the box this year. He's still calling in after every series. Let me talk to this guy. Let me talk to this guy. Let me see what he got. Let me see what he got. And you're calming down that defense. You're making them realize everything's going to be all right.
But the defense still look good though today.
And when that guy's not there, who do you turn to? Do you turn to the vets in the locker room? You turn to your vets on the field, or I'm sure there's another coach down there that kind of works as that interim DC. So that's going to be an interesting thing going into this regular season and how they can handle that going forward.
Yeah, the statement from the Dallas Cowboys right before kickoff: Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn and defensive tackle Carlos Watkins will not participate in tonight's game. Both men left the stadium earlier today out of an abundance of caution under the guidelines of the NFL's COVID-related protocols. Quinn and Watkins will be reevaluated by the Cowboys medical staff tomorrow. To date, the vaccination rate for the Dallas roster is 93%, while 100% of the team's football staff is fully vaccinated. And McCarthy mentioned that they're both in COVID protocol and they were placed there 90 minutes before kickoff. So, yeah, I mean, it's as much as COVID seems to be part of 2020, very much still
around,
a part of 2021.
It's still here.
McCarthy also mentioned no injuries in this football game.
That was huge.
Huge. Week 1 of the preseason, the Hall of Fame game, no injuries. Week 2, though,
abundance.
Too many.
Too many. Way too many.
And so no injuries in this game is huge. That's the big win, I suppose, for a Cowboys team that's now 0-3 in the preseason. Does that matter? We'll get into that next. Plus, take your phone calls, your texts. As we continue here on the postgame show, Dallas Cowboys football will continue.
All right, while they go to commercial break, man, really appreciate everybody for jumping in and being part of this episode. Postgame thoughts, reactions. We need a backup quarterback. That's what y'all thinking. So, and that'd probably be the situation. Defense is ahead of this offense so far. Show of hands if you feel otherwise. Defense is ahead of this offense so far. And keep in mind, the defense still showed up without their commander, without the defensive coordinator bringing it up, showcasing his talent and showcasing his skill sets. We well consider, appreciate you guys for watching. Law, bring back Andy Dalton. I don't think Andy Dalton is worth $10 to $15 million of what they wanted to pay him. That's what he was looking for. I don't think we could afford that anyhow. And did Andy Dalton do good today? Can y'all tell me what he did today, or yesterday whenever he played? And we get it. The preseason game, absolutely. It do not count. Preseason is preseason. That's just what it is. It's reps, it's snaps, but it's individual plays, and you can see some of the tendencies of what individual guys are doing. There's really no game plan that's put into place, and I said that before the game. Even if we will win by 40 points, or even if we lose by 40 points, don't get too high or low into this situation. However, you can still look into the individual players and say, okay, this person is need to be removed. This person will not make the team. Case in point, pay attention. Reggie Davis, I don't think he'll make this team. Johnny Dixon, I don't think he'll make this team. And I believe they're going to cut 5 guys Monday, right? So we don't know what's going to happen as it relates to that. That's just how it goes. Dan Quinn has been vaccinated, but he still missed the game due to COVID protocol, meaning what they are doing. Well, we're not going to get into the talk tracks of vaccination versus non, because that's a slippery slope. It's like talking religion, for crying out loud. It will always be people with different opinions, different thoughts of that, and it will turn into a whole vax versus non-vax and these sorts of things, and it's counterproductive. So just please just put your prayers together, hope that the guy is okay. That's all we can do at this point, Cowboy Nation.
Little kick and creamy cilantro.
They're still on commercial break. The Texans won, by the way. This is the score. Let's run this down. Ben DiNucci was 14 for 19 for 120 yards, 3 interceptions. Cooper Rush was 10 for 12, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Garrett Gilbert, 5 attempts now, 3 completions for 30 yards. They didn't give him a lot of snaps, by the way. Your leading rusher was with 6 carries for 31 yards. He showcased a good situation. Tony Pollard did a good thing, 5 for 20. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. All right, so here's the situation, Cowboy Nation. I think that, of course, Braden Knox, Jaquan Hardy, they ain't making this team. They just call it a spade a spade. I would like for Ralston to make this team. This guy, because he's not going to show up heavy on the stat sheet. You guys know how they go, right? He's not going to show up heavy on the stat sheet. He's a fullback for crying out loud. He's a fullback. So Noah Brown hit 3 receptions for 35 yards, 11.7 yards per reception. Osiris Mitchell, he had a strong battle cry for that. 2 receptions for 31, 15 yards, 15.5. Simi Fehoko had 2 receptions for 24. Jarwin had 1 long catch for 25. Brandon Smith had a good situation for him, 3 receptions for 21 yards. A lot of these wide receivers, Cowboy Nation, and I think that they will still put Fehoko above all of these other guys that's on the back end, because of the fact that he was drafted. Let's look into that, down the line. Jabril Cox had a hell of a game. Let's give a round of applause for Jabril Cox, man. He had a hell of a game. I mean, he played good. Van Der Esch did a good job, too. Van Der Esch did a good job. Bradley Anai, he did a good job. 3 tackles, what have you. Kevin Joseph, pretty much 2 tackles, 4 tackles collectively if you add the assist. And he gave up a pass that was in the inside. But one can argue he played inside leverage. Nobody was there. So I'm not going to rain on his parade. Did he give up a touchdown? I don't think so. Darian Thompson did a good job, had a sack today, as well as who else? Somebody else had a sack, didn't they? He's the only one that had a sack. Okay, so they gave the full sack to him. Let's go. Let's see what they back on ready. He's still on commercial break. Shout out to Luke Gifford. D.A., he had a subpar game. That's about it, Cowboy Nation. Oh, this guy right here, I don't know if you guys can see it on the screen. Brian Anger. That boy can punt. That boy can flat out punt. So that's the score, 24-14. If the Texans want a cookie, they can have one. But that was the final score, 20-14. Cut the nooch. Parsons is quick. Yeah, Parsons. Parsons is so quick. Kamara looked good too, Martin. Yeah. They're going to have a heart-to-heart conversation with him.
Okay, I mean, he got the ball out quick. I just feel like it's an even battle right now, especially after we're hearing what McCarthy said, that they needed to see what Cooper Rush had, and he did deliver tonight. He went out there with the ones, he did his thing, and he was able to put the ball in the end zone twice, something that, this Dallas Cowboys offense hasn't been able to do a lot in this preseason. So I think one game we just can't outright give it to Cooper Rush as far as the lead. I just say right now it's an even race. I mean, I know you talked about it earlier, Ari. I think it's an even race, and this last game is going to decide a lot when it comes to that backup quarterback position.
And here's the reality of it. There's always so much talk put into this particular positional battle.
Yeah.
Because it's never fortified for any team.
No.
But we saw what happens last year when the Cowboys have to go to their backup quarterback.
Not good.
So Cooper Rush, Garrett Gilbert, Ben DiNucci. All right, it's not going to be DiNucci. But it's going to be it's going to be a problem. It's not Dak Prescott.
Yeah, it's going to be.
This is not going to be a fun season if you have anybody else other than Dak Prescott under center for any amount of games this year.
I mean, you're not lying about that at all.
Yeah,
he ain't lying about that at all. And I feel like look, it's going to come down to this last Jacksonville game. Who's going to get that backup role? Now, will he be the backup the entire season? We'll see. You don't know who's going to come available, but it's going to come down to that Jacksonville game to see who's going to be backup to Dak Prescott for the regular season.
And the other thing about it, too,
Hungry
is,
Ghost.
We've heard a lot of questions like, is there backup here?
Stay right there.
Maybe, maybe not. Like they
lean
don't
forward
have
just
money.
a little bit.
We know that.
Right there.
Yeah.
They're not going to go out and spend money to bring in a guy
You can't bring in a guy like
Right
Foles.
Right.
Yeah,
they're just not going to spend money. And plus the whole COVID
Get outta
thing
here.
with, as Brad brought up, you can't just bring somebody on here and automatically have
Come back here,
there's a
Lobo.
whole protocol and
Grace
procedure
period and all that, yeah.
involved. So my guess is their backup quarterback is currently on their roster.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say it's Gilbert, even though he didn't perform that well today.
Why do you think that is?
Because I saw what he can do in regular season action when teams they're putting they're trying to get. I mean, there's the word is not in my head right now, but when
They're
teams
scheming
are
against
scheming,
you.
there it is. When teams are scheming against us, like we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers do against Gilbert, he still performed really well. He made that game extremely competitive with a Steelers team that was undefeated at the time. I've yet to see Cooper Rush do that in any type of regular season action. I've yet to see it. I mean, we've seen a couple, preseason game 4s, game 3s, where he's driven down, and oh my goodness, Cooper Rush is the answer. He's made the team.
Preseason All-Star.
But we've yet to see it in the regular season. We've seen Gilbert do it. We've yet to see Cooper Rush do something in the regular season. So that's why, to me, I think you got to lean on Gilbert in this situation.
Post-game show brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, a store with top brands like Adidas, Shimano, Rawlings, Columbia, all at guaranteed low prices.
Appreciate him. Brilliant point by the Minister of Defense, number 42, the original Barry Church, with that great analysis of everything, because we have never seen Cooper Rush in the regular season game do anything that's worthwhile outside of like some garbage time, real true garbage time, when the game in the league is just out of proportions. But we'll find out down the line what happens.
Stadium, I am Ari Temkin, along with Barry Church, the former Dallas Cowboys strong safety, on Twitter at BarryChurch42. You can tweet me at Ari Sports. And, of course, you can join the post-game show at 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. You can call or text that number. Do you care that the Cowboys are 0-3?
Not at all. This preseason is not about wins and losses. It comes down to figuring out who's going to help your team, get wins and losses when you get to the regular season. So, to me, right now, all these 0-3 in the postseason. I've been with teams that are 0-4 in the preseason, and we go all the way to the AFC Championship. So, I don't think wins and losses mean anything in the preseason. It's all about evaluating the player. Facts. On a basic level. Like, does he tackle well? Does he communicate well? Is he swarming to the ball? Is the offensive linemen, are they blocking well? How do they do it one-on-one protection? That's what I think all the coaches are grading these players on. Wins and losses, I think they mean nothing in the preseason. What about you? What are your thoughts on that?
You guys went 0-4 in Jacksonville?
We went 0-4 in the
year
preseason.
That you went to the AFC Championship.
We went to the AFC Championship. We went 0-4. And it wasn't even like man, they were competitive in each game. We got blown out every single preseason game. But then when the lights turned on and that regular season action hit, we turned into a different team.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. You've got Ben DiNucci out there deciding games.
Exactly. And he 3 interceptions in
you got no shot.
In one half, you got no shot. I mean, we had the lead going into the half. Pick six, another pick, field goal here, and it's an L. And, I don't think anybody here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is expecting DiNucci to make any type of showing in the regular season. So these W and L's, God forbid, these W's and L's do not mean a thing when it comes to the preseason.
What about these turnover issues? It's Garrett Gilbert. It's not starters, Ben DiNucci. But this was a team that last year had major turnover issues. We're still seeing that. Mike McCarthy, he stressed that in this post-game presser. It's been something they've been talking about. They have just not done a good job last year and now into this preseason and taking care of the football. Is that a concern for you in the preseason?
Yes, it is a concern for me in the preseason because when you're dealing with a team like that doesn't have all their starters in, like I said, you go back to the basics, and one of the basics is protecting the football. And we've seen it these past couple games, the turnovers are mounting up. Now, I don't care how good you are when you get to, defensive side of the ball swarming or how great you run the ball. If you're not putting it in the end zone and you're turning the ball over, that's not a formula for success. And we cannot have that going into the regular season. Do I think we'll be, mounting all these turnovers with Dak at the helm, Zeke running the ball? No, I do not think that. But the formula we have right now in this preseason, it ain't working. We ain't putting the ball in the end zone and we're turning the ball over. That's not the type of momentum you want to do going into the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, and turnovers are kind of one of those things where it's like they plague you, and when you have them.
Well, let me turn them down right quick. My thoughts on 34, though. Last week he had the turnover, the fumble, right? And this week he came back and he corrected his running. When he got inside traffic, he corralled the ball better. So those are things, of coachable moments that I believe that coach will really pull 34 to the side and say, hey, man, hell of a game. You did a wonderful situation of running the rock today. So the interceptions as far as Garrett Gilbert, that's just him holding on to the ball too long. The fumble I meant to say. And then the interceptions, that's just DiNucci. That have nothing to do collectively of the team. That was just a horrible place to try to put that ball.
Radio Network. So he tweeted, don't know if the Cowboys are keeping Rush as their backup. But Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci took themselves out of the running tonight. That's from Babe.
Babe Loffinger.
Now, I think, Barry, you made a really good point that we've seen Garrett Gilbert perform in a regular
Shout out to
season
you, Uncle
football
Charles.
game.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and you're going against starters, like the whole entire game, and they're scheming you. They're making adjustments during the game. Do I feel as though these coaches for Houston were like, all right, we got Cooper Rush in here, we got to make these adjustments? No, I think they just went out there with the vanilla defense. Let's call man to man. Let's call cover 3. Let's do this and that. And, as a quarterback who's played it his whole entire life, I'm sure he's able to dissect the regular cover 3 and regular man-to-man. Now, when you get fire zones and they're like, all right, he likes to do this. He likes to go to this receiver on third down. Let's double this receiver. Let's make him go through these progressions.
Different story.
I'm not so sure Cooper Rush has that in the tank.
Get him,
it's the preseason, so we'll never know if he has that in the tank. And we hope we don't see him during the regular season to figure out if he has it in the tank. But to me, we know Gilbert went into that Steelers game when they were undefeated at the time.
Gave him a chance to win.
And gave him a chance to win. He was competitive in that game.
Yeah. Cowboys defense.
So that's the situation. Barry Church going to fool around and talk over so many people head that a lot of you guys won't even understand.
Defensive line, which we'll get into. But there's no question that their rookie first-round pick, Micah Parsons, is a star in the making. And earlier, after this game, our own Chris Arnold caught up with Micah Parsons.
Chris Arnold.
Yeah, so, thanks to Hard Knocks, we've seen your conversations with, the coaching staff about wanting more reps. You got it tonight. How did it feel to kind of get in there for more than just a handful of plays?
I felt really good. I feel like I was able to get into more of a rhythm tonight and, really just get the groove of just playing fast and, just I'd be out there playing more, if that makes sense. It just felt good to play.
Was there one particular play you thought that was your best play of the night?
No, there was not one particular play. I feel like I wasn't able to, fully go yet. I feel like the leash still long, but we're going to let it off soon.
There was a play where you were going into coverage and Keanu, how you guys kind of collided. What happened on that?
Yeah. I'm just showing a little disguise. And
you do sound
I
like
think I might have messed up the timing a little bit, but that's what preseason for. Come next week or first week against the Bay, it ain't going to be like that. So, maybe I took too many steps and things like that, trying to take some pressure off him so he could come free. Just things like that.
What do you like about Mug in the A-gap?
Just so I could just show so many different disguises, never know if I'm coming, dropping back, you could really make a team go five front, go 5-0. Less you guys like D-Law and Greg that's going to be playing this year, and they getting one-on-ones. That's going to be nice, you know what I mean? So everybody in their one-on-one, and you just got to go make a play.
Is it from the side, do you have an option before snap whether or not you're going into the A-gap or if you're going into coverage? Is that part of the play, or do you kind of make a call?
Just part of the play. Because up to me, I go every time. So they wouldn't give me that.
What do you mean by feeling like the league is still
just like we just being very limited right now, not trying to show too much and things like that. So, I'm kind of just biting my tongue because I know what we're really capable of.
Obviously not ideal with Dan having to leave before kickoff. How did it go with Joe calling everything up there?
I think it went smoothly. We got the calls. I think that's the one thing. When one man go down, another man come in, and I think Coach Joe did a great job.
I know we talked to you about calling the plays before, but this is your third opportunity to do it in the game. How how much more comfortable do you feel doing that as opposed to when you first started?
Way more comfortable. Like I said, each week I just feel like I'm getting better and better. You know what I mean? Put my head down again. I got great help from the guys in the room. We laugh when we make mistakes, and when it's time to put the practice pads on, we go out there and we ball out. That's one thing about that LB room. You know what I mean? You can't have a bad day, and when you do, those guys pick you up.
When you find out that DQ wasn't going to be part of things today?
I found out right before the game. You got to live with it. You got to keep going.
What are your impressions, which I feel like you've been done typically when Jabril gets into these games, but what's your impression of the preseason that he's been having?
Jabril's going to be a dog, and I can't wait till my draft buddy, me and him get to play together. We haven't been out there too much, but I feel like our time's coming soon.
There's Micah Parsons, Cowboys rookie linebacker. Sounds an awful lot like Zeke Elliott.
I thought it was.
Zeke Parsons.
I'm not going to lie to you. I thought for sure that was Zeke out there talking. I mean, he sounded just like him. Just like him.
Yeah. But he is an absolute stud in the making, no doubt about it. Post-game show is brought to you by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time. We mentioned this at halftime, Barry. Just so much of a rotation with their defense, their linebackers, their secondary. I mean, it's the last 2 preseason games. It's been like, who's in on this drive? Like, what? Right. Who's in on this play? And you brought this up to me in the press box. Like, that's difficult to play that way. You have a rotation like that along the defensive line, but your linebackers and your secondary, there shouldn't be that much changing.
There shouldn't be that much rotating. So it makes me think that they're just trying to check out different packages. Because as a defensive line, you got to have those guys rolling in and out of there. I mean, those guys are big 300-pound dudes who they need to have a break every now and then. But your second-level linebackers and your secondary players, they got to get a rhythm. They got to get a rhythm of how the game is being called, how these guys are running the football, what runs do they like, what passes do they like. And it's extremely hard to do that when you're rotating every now and then. I mean, we've seen today, when it was base, when the Cowboys defense was going against 12 and 21 personnel that Houston was bringing out, they went base and they would bring in Vander Esch and Smith. But then when they went to 11 personnel and a nickel package, here came in Keanu Neal and Parsons. And there's no way in hell that can happen during the regular season. I mean, there's just no way.
And offensive staffs can look at that and be like, okay, they think we're passing.
Exactly.
Let's run on this.
I mean, there's no way to disguise that. There's no way to get around it. They have to solidify the lineup, and I'm sure they will. They're just checking out different packages like that. But that was definitely confusing to me because I'm sitting there like, wait a second, Nichols in. Okay, these guys. Wow, they were just in for one play. Here comes base. Up. Nichols back up. I mean, it's got to be tough to get a rhythm going on that one.
That's Barry Church. I'm Amari Tempkin. Brian Broaddus gives us his vantage point of this next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Broaddus. Can't wait till they bring Broaddus in. Can't wait till they bring Broaddus in. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. Let's go. Be 1 second here. Barry do speak a lot of facts, man. Oh, my goodness. Barry speak a lot of facts, and he going to fool around and get in trouble. He's speaking too much facts, too much football knowledge in that room. Yeah, too much. And Ari's got a good balance and blend over there, so you can tell that Barry is for real. He's for real. He's a real one. All together, man, Zeke Parsons, or is it Parsons Zeke? How y'all want to go with that? How y'all going to ride with that name? Zeke Parsons. Hey, and the craziest thing, since he wear number 11, so you'll have a jersey that says, Dr. 2-1 will still work, right? Or do you need 2-1-1, or 2-1-1-1-1, 21-11, jersey. I don't know if you can put all of those numbers on the back, but maybe you can slice it down the middle and put Zeke Parsons. Now it'll be Elliott Parsons. I don't know. That Zeke's sons. Yeah, AR Cowboy 88. Yeah, much respect. Yeah, Aubrey. Shout out to Uncle Charles, man. Appreciate him, man. All together. Wear 2 diapers on your face, Uncle. Oh, come on, man. Come on, Texas. Come on, man. Don't attack the uncle. Michael Elliott. Brian Bradford. Yeah, look, no personal attacks, Cowboy Nation. It's all fun over here, man. Cowboy Nation, we've been looking at this thing. I can't wait to see how this team really, really look. Because this placebo effect, man, with this preseason stuff, I don't know, man. But I agree with Barry Church, the individuals. You got to look into that. It's one of those things where you got to sit back and say to yourself, all right, cool. Can we still get something out of this offense now? Defense showed us something. I see a lot of people talking about, look, let's go find that backup quarterback. We still need to find somebody. Yeah. Chuck, appreciate you. Zeke Micah. I think Zeke Parsons just go hard. Zeke Parsons. They go harder than Zeke Micah, though, Yeah, I like when we're seeing in preseason more than most in the past. This is from BD Gray. We talked about the offense. What reservations do you guys got on the defensive side? What reservations do you guys got? Shout out to you, Miss Jessica. Because we can go back and forth. We can clearly see that the play calling is suspect on offense as well as the quarterbacks. And we straight with the running backs in the offensive line. We straight with them. Yeah.
It worked.
Defensive tackle, Martin, that's what you have issues with, the secondary. Let's be real with the secondary. Outside of Christian Kirk play last week, that's a big play. And they gave up some plays in the inside and the middle this today. But that scheme, when you play in cover 2, the middle of the field is open. Cover 3, you can get in the hook routes there. Outside of that, what other reservation do you have on the defense? Because secondary, you can say that the secondary been solid a little bit. Not like the teams just like gashing us on the edge there. No ball hawking, I don't know. 3 for 3. Troy says Boss Man did well. He didn't give up any touchdowns, right? Anthony Brown is our number 2 cornerback. Is from Ivory. Yeah. Defense will, at least from what you think, Clifford, will be top 15. Now, Barry Church, when he was on the show, he said, you heard it here from him, that he said that the defense will go top 10. Start Hooker over DeMonte KZ. Yeah. Boss Man is second team. Put it like this. Let me put it like this for you guys. Let me see if they back for commercial break first.
Papa John's.
It's still on Papa John's commercial. Would you rather rip the Band-Aid off and throw Boss Man out there instead of seeing AB because you know what you're going to get out of AB, just like they did with Trayvon Diggs last season? Or would you sit there and say, okay, throw AB out there. Let's go with it. AB, 27 on the opposite end. And how y'all feel about Kennedy? He's on the outside looking in because they started with Jordan Lewis. Yeah, packages for Boss Man.
From Cooper Rush to Tony Pollard is your play of the game. Hey, Whataburger fans, looking for a sweet treat to get you through a long afternoon? Try the new limited-time Peaches and Cream Shake.
Throw Boss Man in the fire.
Take on a classic summertime dessert. Let's talk now with Brian Broaddus.
Brian Broaddus!
Of the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network and of the G-Bag Nation on the Cowboys flagship, 105.3 The Fan. Had the pleasure of calling the game tonight with Brad Sham. And let's start with the quarterback position, Brian. Babe Laufenberg, after the game, tweeted that he thought that if there's anybody competing for this job, it's Cooper Rush and somebody not on this roster. Barry Church, though, brought up, I think, a really salient point here on this, in that we've seen Garrett Gilbert play at a decent level, a competent level in an NFL game. We haven't really seen that for Cooper Rush. Where are you now on the backup quarterback situation, Broaddus?
Well, first off, I'd like to say I'm very confident to say that I'm really happy that Barry hasn't lost his voice yet.
Yes.
Barry has gotten better from week 2 to week 3.
Yes.
And that's important. You got to. He
watched the film. He watched the film. He evaluated. And he got better.
Barry's tough. There's no question of Barry's toughness. But last week, late in the game, that voice was gone. And
it was out of there.
Today he sounds really, really good and refreshed, ready to go. So yeah, I was listening to you guys on the way home, and I think you guys have done a hell of a job with this thing, by the way. I think it varies assessment of the offensive line and what's going on there. But since you asked the question about the quarterback, that was something that Brad Sham during the broadcast brought up. I know in the pregame, when Brad and I were talking, we were thinking that, he asked me about the quarterback situation, and I'm like, well, I think this was Garrett Gilbert's job. And, I had not seen anything in all the practices in Oxnard or anything like that kind of made me believe different. And then, and all of a sudden, you take a dress rehearsal game and you say, well, listen, let's see what Cooper Rush. I mean, he's been working with, guys that are threes and probably going to get cut or put on practice squads and stuff. And let's see what Cooper Rush can do. And, they threw him out there. Matter of fact, I think Todd Archer asked the question in the Post, like, did you expect to go in, did you go in a little earlier than you thought? And he was like, well, they told me I was going to play in the first half. It's just the flow of the game. And, he took advantage of the situation. When Cooper Rush first made this team, it was about playing really brilliantly, in the preseason. He was one of the better statistical quarterbacks when he first made the team. And so, he understands what it's like to have to try and battle and fight. And, he wasn't given much of a chance. And, to come out today, and I agree. I think that, you guys have said this game against Jacksonville, it's not going to be about just, hey, let's throw one guy out there bending
because you got to evaluate,
get through it.
Maybe
we can have some quarterbacks kind of battle it out a little bit and see which one really deserves that second job.
All right, so Brian, we talked earlier in the pregame about the significance of that injury to Neville Gallimore, especially part of that interior defensive line. What did you see today from that D line as far as when they played against Houston in the run game and rushing the passer?
Yeah, Barry. I mean, that was. I thought you made a really good point about Gallimore and how that will affect. And that's a defensive guy talking right there, and you understand how important that front is. And I really did feel like today, Quentin Bohanna, I didn't think played very well against the Arizona Cardinals. I think there was too many times he got moved one-on-one. And, but he was good against the Steelers for a rookie right out of the box. And I'm like, okay. And then last week he wasn't good. And then this week I thought he was a lot better. I thought they played with some squareness up front. I think not having Carlos Watkins out there, man, I mean, that, you guys have been talking about that really all night with him and DQ and what they've had to deal with protocols and stuff like that. And, that's kind of a tough thing. But, yeah, they're trying to figure out what's going on up front. I mean, there was a couple of times where I remember watching, with Brent Urban, holding the point of attack, Bohanna holding the point of attack pretty good. O'Diggy getting up the field pretty well, on some of the stuff. But he's got to learn how to redirect a little bit better and get back in on those plays when he can do that. So I kind of felt like that it was a much better effort. And I don't mean effort, I should say much better technique-wise for what I saw from those defensive tackles than what I saw last week against Arizona.
Brian, you and I have spent a ton of time this preseason talking about the offensive line and Connor McGovern. Do you work him in there? Where are you now on this offensive line?
Come on, spit the truth.
You what, though, my man, Ari, I you know what? You brought up the best five, and I'm a best five guy.
Yep.
I don't think Connor McGovern helped himself tonight. I thought he was one of the weak links. When you started watching him, he didn't have one of his better games. And Connor's a guy that's a physical player. He's a tough player. He's a smart player. I just didn't think like he had the balance. I didn't think he had body control. I didn't think he had the push. I didn't think he had the toughness that he needed to play. But I thought he fought. He just wasn't very good tonight. And and I was kind of hopeful that Connor Williams would be okay. He's going to learn how to snap, and it's going to be your best five. Because the thing I see with Diadish is a guy that will fight you, but he doesn't get much push, and he's on the ground quite a bit, too. And that's a big difference. Yeah. And for us to think that, he's from Wisconsin's Big Ten, it's Travis Frederick. No, it's not the same guy. That's just not the same guy. And, I was hopeful that they would have their best five. But if you're Connor McGovern tonight, you're going to watch the film tomorrow. You're going to be a little cringy in that meeting because it wasn't one of his better games. And I think that him, and Simi Fehoko was another one that I was kind of hopeful. I know it's not talking the offensive line, but I remember putting a kind of a minus next to his name because not only the penalties, with on the special teams and stuff like that. They had a ball knocked down over his back. He's got to extend for on a curl. You wanted him to show some consistency and stuff because, again, Malik Turner, it's a great opportunity. Malik Turner's got turf toe. He might not, it might be, wave injured, IR, and, work out some settlements in here, and Cindy gets the job really by default. But, he didn't help himself playing special teams tonight. I think that was, again, I know you were asking about offensive line, but that's something I noticed as well.
And Brian, we saw a lot of 12 personnel a lot earlier in the game with Blake Jarwin and and Schultz. Do you think that's something we could see in the regular season? A lot of 12 personnel instead of that 11 personnel?
Well, it's funny, Barry. Yesterday at practice, they were running cards, and I know you could explain better once I go off the air here. You can explain about running cards, and that scout team look is they're trying to show you like, okay, this is what we think the Texans are going to do. And kind of game plan it a little bit. And they really, really ran a lot of cards yesterday in the red zone. So I wasn't surprised by the screen that scored because that's a scheme play.
Yes.
You throw a red zone screen, that's a scheme play. You're expecting upfield rush, maybe some man coverage stuff, but they got everybody out on the, Pollard does a great job of setting that thing up.
About time.
So I kind of felt like that, okay, they're gonna practice this a little more with the cards and stuff and try and game plan it. But yeah, that was something that I noticed yesterday watching practice. A lot of tight bunch formation. When I mean bunch, that group of the three guys getting together right there, tight to the formation, and a lot of it was that 12 personnel stuff. So maybe this was something that really Kellen Moore wanted to get on tape and kind of see how that maybe a defense would react to some of the formations that he threw at them.
Anything else you took away from this game, Broadus?
Yeah, I really do like what I'm seeing from Keanu Neal. Once they put the pads on, again, I kind of bust on Barry, but it's nice to see, again, number 42 out there blowing people up. Because I'm used to that with Barry and the way he played, how physical he was. And Barry was really good around the line of scrimmage, and so is Neal. And, you put him into some coverage. I really was impressed by the way, I think the nickel, they're going to figure this thing out with, they're going to figure it out. It's either going to be Van Der Esch and Parsons, or it's going to be Neal and Parsons in that nickel. I was impressed with, I thought Anthony Brown had a little bit of a bounce back early in this game. He was, he wasn't very good. I didn't feel like in the Steelers game. I think he's had a really decent training camp. Jerron Kearse, let's think about that. Kearse was running with the threes yesterday, in practice. I'm thinking, well, man, this poor, tall, long-legged kid is, he's not going to long for here. But he goes out there and has a really good game, and now, you're sitting there going, oh, okay, well, maybe he is in the safety mix somehow, some way. I thought Malik Cooker, for the extended work that he got, the ability to come forward and drive, he had to tackle where he threw his right shoulder in there, made a nice stop, in the middle of the field. Got caught on a route, too, in the middle of the field where he wasn't quick enough reading. I'm sure Barry probably pointed that out. Safety is tough when you don't play with your eyes and you don't see the route develop in the middle. And he was slow reacting, and he had Thompson on the other side, which he was going to the flat. So that's his play. He's got to get over there. But I thought for the first time out, he held up as well as he can, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of play in this game next week too. They've got he hadn't played in a while. And so they got to kind of figure out how they want to play this safety position and get these guys lined up the way they need to.
Brian Broadus will sure be listening Monday through Friday on the Dallas Cowboys flagship 105.3 The Fan, the G-Bag Nation 2 to 7. Broadus, you're the best, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Y'all want the show to continue to go, man. Hit that like button for your brother, man. Hit that like button if y'all want the show to continue to go. And I really appreciate you guys. Like, share, and comment in the comment box. Got to keep the engagement up. Really appreciate everybody for jumping in. Somebody said, inform me what happened to Quinn. He's in COVID protocol. Him as well as Carlos Watkins. Brian Brothers brought up some brilliant points altogether, especially as it relates to Malik Cooker on one of the plays. He just highlighted some of the guys that stood out to him. Notice, pay attention. He did not mention any of the DBs failing on him. So that means the DBs were still solid. As it relates, I meant to say cornerbacks at the end, not DBs in general, because he did mention the safeties and J-Ron Curse. So shout out to him, man. Appreciate Brian Brothers. They're still on commercial break. Keep in mind, Cowboy Nation, I know that we have our mindset set to winning every game, and we can get emotional a little bit, but keep in mind. Keep this in mind, Cowboy Nation. This is preseason. Corb says Kamara is a baller. Yeah, he is a baller, man. Kamara, I think that a lot of people rooting for the underdog, 43. He made some splash plays, got around to the quarterback, didn't necessarily get to him, but created some pressure. I think that goes a long way with the coaching staff. We're going to have to get rid of one of these guys that's making some plays. We're going to have to. That's unfortunate. And hopefully when cuts come down to Monday, it'll be more on the offensive side because the defense showed us a little bit more. I want this defense to show us some more and more. Ivory says Anthony Brown is not a baller. Anthony Brown is the quote-unquote starting DB or cornerback. That's how it looks like. Yeah, so that's just how it goes. The cap, yeah, you got to worry about that. I'm satisfied with our tight ends. Yeah, I am too, AR. Yeah, AR Cowboy 88. Yeah.
Maybe you just.
Shout out to you, Miss Jackie. Thank you for jumping in. And shout out to Miss Lady Jessica. Thank you for being part of it. Anthony Brown made a bunch of plays, and this is from Fargate 01. Here's my thoughts. There was a 3-and-out, the first play, the opening drive. It was a comeback route, and Anthony Brown, he was close on the receiver. And this is my thoughts on Anthony Brown. He's pretty good. He's a good cover corner. It's just that he's not physical. He's pretty good, but he's not physical. So Anthony Brown versus a physical wide receiver, you see those warts out of his game. See, he'll handle a guy that's kind of lost or kind of lackadaisy on their routes, especially at the top, if they don't come back and fight for the ball. But it's when he goes against those caliber of receivers that's more physical than him, then you see his warts. So week 1 is going to be AB versus AB or Chris Godwin. I think that's his name, Godwin, Chris Godwin. And you definitely don't want to see him on Evans. I'm going to turn the TV off if we see him on Evans because Evans is going to be like this. I could not believe it, They put him on me. They're going to be highlight central, But Anthony Brown is pretty good against guys that's not physical, who matches physicality or who more physical than him. Stolen. Was it Stolen Laptop? Appreciate you. He says AB struggles against bigger wide receivers like Metcalf, Evans, Bossman could counter their size. Bossman is a little wider than he's looking more thicker and a little bit more aggressive. Bossman got his warts too, but the only way he can overcome his warts is him playing. He got to get out there to play. He got to get out there and play. You can't stash him. The only way he'll learn is playing.
And white.
The craziest thing of it all, the people that saying Diggs this, Diggs that, were some of the same people that was like, get him out of here. People fail to realize Trayvon Diggs gave up north of 1,000 yards last season in coverage. North of 1,000. And a lot of people didn't have their love and adulations for Diggs week 1. And I see Bama fan in the house, he had his love and adulations, but not everybody, So that's the situation with when you're talking about playing younger cornerbacks. You're going to get beat. You're going to get beat. That's the name of the game. But you got to have a short-term memory. There will be growing pains. You can't escape it. I know Cowboy fans want to escape it, but you can't. That's the reality. And I would rather for the young DBs to get used and abused during preseason. Try to learn and get that jelly belly out of themselves. Because they will be nervous. They will be nervous, man. Antonio Brown would chew up AB. Yeah, I feel you. AR, so yes, it's a feast or famine situation. Boss man would get ate up, and then he would eat up some too. Yeah. What about our defensive tackle? How do you feel on third and short law? Defensive tackles are relative to the ball. They got upfield a little bit. There were some plays that the Texans ran at will, right? And I like the fact that when they got into the red zone, they was able to corral and push everything back. So shout out to the defense.
0-3 in the preseason. Barry Church, Ari Temkin with you here on the Dallas Cowboys post-game show, which is brought to you by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Papa John's. Better pizza,
your Dallas
better
Cowboys. Let's talk now with Cowboys insider Mike Fisher on Twitter at Fish Sports, joining us here on the Dallas Cowboys post-game show.
The Fish
Report.
How
are you?
If you guys agree with this, and Barry, this is you're just learning this weirdness of preseason from our perspective, but you're trying to write a headline, or you guys are trying to talk about the game, and you feel obliged to give the score, and you feel obliged
right.
to say
the record,
and the record, and that it was a loss. When really, I mean, it's like saying we had a practice and the defense lost or the defense won, because in fact. Don't you guys agree that both coaches are justified? They both come away from this saying our defense played well. We like what our defense did.
Right.
Yeah. And then you have to look up the scoreboard and go, well, yeah, but no, wait a minute, but that doesn't count, but that did count. But Ben DiNucci, and then Ben DiNucci again, and then Ben DiNucci again.
Right.
So I think the takeaway from this is, first of all, from a Houston perspective, which fascinates me, because this is a program that just a year and a half ago was really good.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now they got nothing, and it's a start over. So for them, under Lovie Smith on defense, and then David Culley, who's never been a head coach at any level before, to try to get that thing turned around, I think that's interesting. Then from a Dallas perspective, and you guys touched on it with Leighton Vander Esch and more, this was a real dress rehearsal for the defense. Everybody pretty much minus Tank Lawrence. And I don't think, Barry, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. It wasn't like totally vanilla. They used two linebackers and a nickel. Sometimes they had three safeties on the field at the same time. I mean, it looked like that they threw out their real stuff there, even though Dan Quinn wasn't quite here to throw it out.
Yeah, I definitely think they were definitely mixing and matching, showing different packages and the versatility of this defense. I mean, you had, dime packages out there with, 3 safety looks and 1 linebacker. You had some nickel looks. You had some looks where Parsons was rushing off the edge. So it definitely wasn't super vanilla when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. But I want to know, what stood out to you as far as offensively in this game against Houston?
Back. And I guess, first of all, you really start with the quarterback and the weird, bogus story that comes out nationally, making it sound like there's something different about Dak Prescott's status.
Get him, Fish.
I think that the Tolo and the Cowboy fan who follows what we do here understands Dak Prescott's in the exact same situation he was before Bristol decided to make something of nothing. He did his pregame warm-up stuff, and he did the chicken wing thing, and he did the hip and the shoulders thing. And then I don't know how much you guys were able to see it, probably some of it. He went through the progression of every throw. He made every throw.
Yeah.
And he's just going to be fine by the time we get to the week of Tampa. I think that next week, leading up to Jacksonville, will still be a ramp-up, and there'll probably still be a pitch count. But the week of Tampa, there will not be a ramp-up, and there will not be a pitch count. He will be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys on that Monday, getting ready for Tampa. And then I do think, Barry, because Cooper Rush hasn't done anything. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I do think that he closed the gap on Garrett Gilbert here. And so when Stephen Jones the other day told 105.3 The Fan that those two guys are in competition, I kind of scoffed. But they are. They might not have been on Wednesday, but they are now.
Right.
After the game, McCarthy was asked about the two of them and what your decision is, and he said, we need another week. And it was kind of like the questioner didn't understand what that answer meant. And McCarthy was trying to tell him next week, these two guys are going to have a quarterback off.
Yeah.
And that's what that game's going to be about. One of these two guys is going to outplay the other one, and then we'll make a decision based on there. It's worth noting that Stephen, in his visit with KNC Masterpiece a couple days ago, did also say they are also in competition with the rest of the league.
Yep.
So somewhere out there is there a number 3 quarterback who's going to get cut, who's better than them. They've already just clearly decided they don't want to pursue Nick Foles right now, who's better than both these guys. They don't want to pursue Blake Bortles, who's got a better pedigree than both these guys. And they haven't made any overtures toward Josh Rosen, who once had a pedigree and now he's lost. So I think, Barry, that's the standout thing. I think Cooper Rush closed the gap and put himself in position to maybe have a job, where 24 hours ago, I don't think he had one.
Wow.
Fish, in terms of, what happened with Dan Quinn here, what have you heard on that? And I mean, how much is this sort of a sign of what they have to be potentially ready for in the regular season with something like this happening potentially?
The political football that it always turns into, because I understand how not everybody, I understand how so many people want to politicize this. The team that wins the Super Bowl is going to be the team that avoids COVID.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, that's how it is. During the regular season, the healthiest team seems to always be that team at the end of the day. And now, we got to deal with health and the COVID. So
that's right. It used to be the team with the fewest concussions and knee injuries.
Exactly.
That might win the Super Bowl. But now it's this. And so you can understand why Ron Rivera in Washington is so upset. Mike Zimmer in Minnesota is so upset because they agree with what our man Michael Irvin told me about how I question how much you really want to win if you're unwilling to do that thing. That's not my opinion or Barry Church's opinion or Ari's opinion necessarily, but it's Irvin's opinion, and he stands by it. He caught a lot of heat for it, but all the coaches agree with him. Do this one thing, because if you don't do this one thing, Washington's not going to win the Super Bowl. Atlanta, the most vaccinated team in the NFL, has a slightly better chance of being good.
I'm gonna fact check Fish on this one right quick when he get finished, though.
What positional battle are you most intrigued
before he talk about that? The problem is that Dan Quinn was fully vaxxed, but he still got to enter into COVID protocol. So we can't talk about, hey, if you get all of your vax, then you're gonna be straight. That's not the case nor the scenario. You still got to go through the protocol. You still got to play. You still can't play. That's the thing.
But Carlos Watkins, who with the COVID tonight, but I mean he's listed on the depth chart as the best defensive tackle they have. Well, that's not very good. Brent Urban, and I've made this joke before. I mean, the only reason I ever noticed that Brent Urban has been in the league for the last 8 years is when I see him on the sideline, he's a foot taller than everybody else. But I don't know that I don't remember Brent Urban making big plays in big games. And here he is now. They're asking him to do something. This rookie class, which of course was much ballyhooed, and so many people when they drafted these guys said, all 11 of these guys are going to make the team, and this is going to be the dirty dozen -1. I'm like, it's an average of 7 guys a year. 7 rookies a year are on your opening day roster.
Yeah.
The Cowboys aren't any more special than anybody else. It's going to be 7. It's not going to be 11. But can Osa step up and be a little bit like Sir Neville Gallimore? If he is, then that would help. But Ari, that's my answer, and that's my trouble spot. I don't think they have very special players at defensive tackle.
In your opinion, the starting offensive line that we put out there today, is that the best 5 we have on this roster? The best unit that we had to put out there?
Yeah, and Connor McGovern is a legitimate NFL player, but he's they've talked about him beating out Connor Williams, but he never does.
Yeah.
And then there's these conversations, and these are mostly media conversations about Tyler Biadasz, and I think Pro Football Focus gave him a mediocre grade for last year. The coach and scouts think he's good, and so Barry, here's the thing: I think you're spoiled because having been in that locker room and been around, and that guy's going to the Hall of Fame. That guy's going to the Hall of Fame as an offensive lineman. That guy could have been a first-round pick. As you really know in your heart of hearts, you can't have 5 first-round offensive linemen. Right, I mean, they basically have 3, and that's pretty good. That's more than most have. So I think their offensive line ultimately, once they get their cohesion, and tonight was the night. This was their cohesion night. This will be it. I think their offensive line is maybe the least of their worries.
Gotcha. Appreciate you, Fish. Thanks, buddy.
Good stuff, Fish. Good stuff.
Mike Fisher joining us here at Fish Sports on Twitter. He mentioned Osa Odigizua, the Cowboys rookie defensive tackle, and here is Osa catching up with Chris Arnold and the rest of the media group after the game.
Preseason game at this point, but a little bit more extended run. How did it feel to get into more of a groove and play longer than you have, I suppose?
It was good, just like I said, just using all these plays and all these snaps as an opportunity
to
get better.
Who they talking to? Y'all know who he talking to?
Get in better shape and just continue to feel more comfortable in the game, communicating with the guys and just meshing with my teammates.
You play about 50 snaps the first preseason game, you played another 50 in the second. I was curious from a physical standpoint how that has been with the work that you've been getting.
My body's holding up really well, actually. And like I said, I feel like it's just opportunity for me to get better condition.
The number of y'all
can't hear nothing
from the beginning of camp. Y'all have rotated so much. Just how good of a feel do you have for the various guys that you play with, whether it's Brent, whether it's Quentin, just kind of different guys that you line up with, and your feel for
got an air hole.
Getting a better feel for more guys. I was mainly working with Quentin and Justin to begin, so then getting some reps with Carlos has been helping, and now Brent. So I feel like it's just coming together piece by piece. The more guys I get to just work with.
Did you talk to Carlos at all? When you found out that he had to go home?
No, I found out like right when we went out to warm up, So as soon as we did our little pregame warm up at the D-line, someone came up to me and told me. I was like, oh dang. So yeah, I didn't even know there was anyone else that had tested positive at the time.
What was your reaction knowing that Carlos offered you kind of that would be part of the game?
Yeah, I literally just found out about DQ right now. So I just knew it was Carlos. I knew that was something that we're going to have to handle as a group, just making sure we're all there and just kind of netting up and just holding it down still. A lot of guys going down, whether it be COVID, injuries, things like that. Just got to be able to take it in stride and just keep going.
The D-line group, you guys have had some things thrown your way. Chauncey hasn't been able to be out there. Nev had an injury. I think we're on the whole list. I'll miss some things, but what's it just kind of been like in that room to kind of have some of the things you guys have to deal with?
It's been tough because obviously when one guy goes down, the load
is
going to be heavier on everyone
too.
else. So just making sure we're prepared to handle that and just being there for each other and just coming together as a group to make sure we're just all on the same page and just ready to go.
There's Cowboys rookie defensive tackle Osa Odigizua, who I believe he said he heard that Carlos Watkins tested positive.
I heard the same thing you heard right there. And,
maybe he was just saying that.
Yeah, maybe he just overgeneralized it and just
thinks he tested positive.
Test positive.
Ain't no such thing as hip along now.
But as all we know at this point, as we found out at kickoff, was that Carlos Watkins and Dan Quinn were not going to be had to leave the stadium as part of COVID protocol. That Mike McCarthy said that they found out 90 minutes before kick that they were in COVID protocol. It also sounded like Odigizua said he didn't even know that Dan Quinn wasn't there all game.
Yeah, that's what it
sounded like. He said he just found out after the game that Dan Quinn wasn't there.
That's what it sounded like. Well, we know
that's
Quinn,
weird.
Yeah, that's weird. Quinn's up in the box, and maybe he's not one of those players. He communicates with a lot, but you think you would realize,
at some point,
if who's calling plays around here? Like, you would think you would realize that, but he's one of those guys that's going to have to step up. Him, Brent Urban, Bohanna. Justin Hamilton, they're going to all have to step up and fill the shoes of Neville Gallimore, because I think he was going to be a big presence in there in the middle.
And I'm very curious in terms of the numbers, in this final roster, where because we're talking about what are the numbers going to look like at safety,
extra
numbers at corner, and then defensive line. clearly they're going to have to go heavy on defensive line.
You got to, because you got that rotation in there. You got to have fresh D linemen there. So that's one of the positions that you got to go heavy at. I'm always a firm believer in that you can never have enough cover men out there. So I'm a guy, if I was I'm going heavy at the corner position, and I'd slightly tear off when you get to the safety. I would only bring 4 safeties coming in there, but we'll see, man. We'll see.
Barry Church, Ari Temkin. This is the Dallas Cowboys post-game show. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is altogether, and not to just keep beating a dead horse with this season altogether, with the protocols of them snatching you out like 90 minutes before the game or 10 minutes before the game, whenever they find out the test or whatever it may be, if you are, whatever symptoms, or you're showing some signs of symptoms or what have you, that could be a detriment to your team. Philosophy as far as the coaching staff. The Cowboys, according to their website and Jerry Wayne Jones, that the staffing were all 100%, but you can still carry symptoms. You can still, come down positive with it, because we know that this thing spread like wildfire. And on top of that, we know that the players were 93%. So by Carlos being, positive, whatever it may be, or showing symptoms and not being able to play, this goes a long way, Cowboy Nation. Because there are situations where you can have false positives and beyond, and it can throw off the psyche of the game. So we just got to be careful. Altogether. And you got to pretty much walk a thin line. And just like Mike Fisher said, it's political football at this point. Those are the problems that we will see through the course of the year, and not just with the Cowboys, for crying out loud, but with other teams. So I don't know if they will ever iron this out, but that's just how it goes from here. I hope all is well with any of the guys. They're still on commercial break. So that's just how it goes. I hope all is well with Carlos Watkins, and I hope all is well is with Dan Quinn. So I guess even though this is preseason, at least the protocol, you can see what will happen in the event if this was a regular season game. Casey says, please take this seriously. Yeah, so that's just how it goes. On one end, just like Paul right here, Mike Irvin was hot. The Cowboys ain't fully vaxxed, laugh all out. So that goes a point. Let's prove a point right here, Paul. Amen to Paul. It's like it's tomato. It don't really matter. You know what I'm saying? You can still get it. Now, I do know the recovery aspect of it. If you who knows? Everybody immune system is different. People act different, react different to the actual virus, and people react different to the the vax. So it's a forever battle. Just like when they say you're talking to your friend, you can have a cold-blooded friend, or you can have a cool, calm, and collected friend, and y'all can be kicking it like forever, just as homeboys. But the moment you start talking politics, or the moment you start talking religion, it goes left, right? And it's a slippery, like David said, it's a slippery slope. It's a forever nobody's right type of battle. The best thing that can ever happen to any of these guys, if they all stay healthy, if they all can figure out a way, to not test positive. That's the only way, because this is forever going to be brought up, forever. That's the only way we can get beyond this. Semi made the team. Yeah, Caesar. Yeah, he gonna make the team. Semi made his team. Yeah. Keith, appreciate you. Maverick, appreciate you. So it's a non-win-win type of battle, and I hate it. I hate it for this country. I hate it because when you put things on the political table, it just get muddy, and it muddies the water. And we came here to just see football. We didn't come here to talk about shots and needles and jabs, and somebody catching a cold or a flu. We ain't here for that. We here to watch Jabril Cox first 48 come down through the A gap and smack the quarterback. And the quarterback roll around like Family Guy. We here to break down that. We here to talk about Simi Fehoko running up the seam, catching the ball with his hands. Or possible if we are able to see Ezekiel Elliott run on the side, toss sweep, you know. And we here to do that. I appreciate you. I have a question. Why do you think Anthony Brown should be the number 2 cornerback for us? Be honest. Ivory, I'm going to keep it a beam. I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to keep it a buck. That's what the young kids say these days. We've seen Anthony Brown at his peak. We know what he brings to the table. Let me repeat. We've seen all what we needed to see out of Anthony Brown since 2016. It is now the year 2021. I think that this is just my thoughts. Take one of these rookies, whoever won it, whether it's Boss Man or even it's Nashawn, throw them out there, because when week 7 come around, week 8, week 9, they will have the experiences ready to play. I don't want them to come out there week 7, week 8, week 9, week 10, and now you throw them out there after you get used and abused after Anthony Brown wet the bed. Is he a solid cornerback? Yeah. But is he a cornerback that can handle against physical wide receivers? From our historical data, from what we know, he's not that guy. That's just me. Do you guys feel the same? Now, as far as me thinking that Anthony Brown, should you cut him or keep him? I think you keep him because of the fact that he's under contract, for crying out loud. And on top of that, like I always tell people, you need to have your depths. Don't cut off your legs. Don't cut your feet from up under you. Don't cut your nose off to spite your face. Right? Let's not do that. I think he's a solid backup cornerback.
For me, if you're putting the ball in great places where the receivers don't have to turn back around to catch it or make this acrobatic catch, they're able to get yards after the catch. And he did a great job doing that today.
He's serviceable.
He was very
right.
secure with the ball, kept it out of harm's way, and that's all you can ask for a game manager like Cooper Rush.
Yeah, so it seems like certainly stay tuned. There's a lot to watch and hear about in the 4th preseason game next week, the preseason conclusion, thank God, for the Cowboys and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But again, I mean, that gives us something to watch and pay attention to because it'll be interesting to see how the snaps are divvied up. And will the Cowboys potentially look outside the organization? I seem to think with the limited cap space they have, they won't. And again, it's not like you go out and get Blake Bortles or Josh Rosen. You're
not going to do
you're
too much
saved,
for you.
right?
Yeah.
You're saved if Dak Prescott goes down.
And it's and like we saw today. I mean, this next week they'll be playing with the same type of competition. So they'll both be with 2s and 3s out there. So we'll get an even and I think fair judgment or assessment of what their abilities are and how they can provide for this Dallas Cowboys team.
The biggest thing out of this game, Cowboys do lose 2014 to the Houston Texans, is there's no injuries. Mike McCarthy said that after the game. There were a ton of injuries last week, and so you just were crossing your fingers to think the most positive thing for this game in the entire preseason is 0 injuries, and that's what we saw.
We saw that today. We got out healthy, and like you pointed out, that is the main thing you want to come out of preseason. You want to be able to judge these guys, but at the end of the day, if everybody comes out healthy, we're good to go.
So the biggest takeaway from this game, the back quarterback situation, what else, Barry Church?
Just, I'm going to go ahead and go defensively again.
Yeah.
The takeaway, I'm just shocked, especially coming off of last year and how just mundane and just bad that defense looked, to be able to come out and it's all turned around thanks to, I don't want to say one guy, but Dan Quinn has come around and just infused juice onto this defense, much needed juice, and those guys they're flying around, they're believing in what he's putting out there. And you know what? We don't need to be this top 10 defense, but we need to be the middle of the pack, and I think we can achieve that this year.
Yeah, hopefully Dan Quinn will be good to go next week. Again, had to leave the stadium because of COVID protocol 90 minutes before kick. All right, next week, 12 p.m., noon kickoff, Cowboys and Jaguars. That will conclude the preseason. Thank you to Alec Medford, Larry Flores, Zach Rowe, and Tim Collins. Thanks to Barry Church. I am Ari Temkin. Cowboys lose to the Texans 2014. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Hey there. All right. I don't know if they're wrapping it up, but let's do this, Cowboy Nation. What are your thoughts on this game? I'm going to read some of y'all comments. 808, you got to repost it. Your comment, if you want me to read it. I saw it earlier, but you got to repost it. Law, is the history repeating itself with the backup quarterback? Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the backup quarterback situation is this clearly the Cowboys really never really properly planned it, and unfortunately, that's just how it goes. I said that previously in one of my videos. We found Romo by pure luck, and then Dak Prescott fell in our hand by pure matter of circumstances. They didn't think that Dak Prescott was the guy, but in 2016, he showcased to the world that, hey, he can do this. And shout out to him. And one thing we can say, in that particular preseason game, Dak Prescott looked amazing. He didn't look like Cooper Rush and Garrett Gilbert and as well as DiNucci, so he looked a whole lot better than these boys. So we saw something out of Dak Prescott, at least in the preseason game. We don't see nothing out of these guys. And we have, let me go to this chart right here. We are so, how could I put this? I can't even think of the word. I don't want to use gullible. No, I ain't gonna even say it. But we are praising 10 for 12 for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what Cooper Rush did. We like, yeah, look, Cooper Rush, he showed up today. 10 for 12 for 97 yards and 2 tubs. And those were the most, if you go watch other teams, and I'm not trying to put, and you guys can figure out that word that I'm trying to put out there. I don't want to say it, but we're happy about 10 for 12 for 97 yards, 2 tubs against the Texans. We need more out of that. I'm hard to please at this point. DiNucci threw 120 yards but 3 interceptions, 14 for 19. We got to continue to look. We got to find a quarterback that plays with a demand, that plays with a mindset. I'm going to destroy the opposition. I'm going to take advantage of the situation, of the one-on-one to the outside. The quarterback, a backup quarterback with some cojones. Shout out to Cooper Rush for going deep on one of those plays, and something came out good out of it. Yeah. That was only a quarter and a half, though. B.D. Gray. I understand that. But like Barry Church said, these guys are not planning. These guys are not drawing up plays to take away your throws. They are giving you pretty much one-on-one to the outside. He had that look majority of the day, and he had some good time in the pocket. I just believe, shout out to Cooper Rush, he may be a solid backup quarterback, but we can't be satisfied with that. We still can't be satisfied for 10 for 12 for 97 yards, yes, in a quarter and a half. Yes, and we can look at that and say, yeah, those are good numbers with 2 touchdowns. But we still got to want more. We got to demand more from our backup quarterback, even from the command of the flow of the team. We just got to see more out of that. I could be a 1,000,000% wrong, but I'm hard to please at this point. I know that there's more talent out there. I know that we can still continue to look under the rock and bring in somebody else. He had 9.7 yards an average of throw. Yeah, but I just demanded a little bit more, though. That's all I'm saying. Y'all charge it to my head, not my heart. If y'all feel like, hey, he is the answer, Cooper Rush. But I just feel like there's more talent out there that we can figure out to bring that in, and we can see that, on a consistent basis. Wesley King says, I disagree. You can win game through. So Wesley King, what you telling me is that, let's say, for example, we go. Let's just let's say we've satisfied for the 10 for 12 for 97 yards for 2 touchdowns. We get rid of Gary Gilbert, we get rid of Ben DiNucci, and we roll out for the 2021 season with Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush. Keep in mind, Cooper Rush couldn't beat out the guys over there in Giants land. So look at their backup quarterbacks. And you satisfied with that? This is America's team, one of the billion-dollar organizations, one of the top-known organizations, and you sitting here telling me that you're going to settle with Cooper Rush based off of what we seen out of this game, this preseason game, 10 for 12, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns, and you say, okay, I'm gonna sleep good at night if Dak Prescott go down and we got to go into a 3-game situation with Cooper Rush. I'm not sold on Cooper Rush. I don't care if he went for 300 yards today. You still bring in more competition. I want to be able to see him do it on a consistent level because out there in practice, he wasn't bringing that in practice from day in and day out. That's all I'm saying. I'm tired of us sitting back looking at this. Oh, we're going to be okay with Cooper Rush. He couldn't beat out the players over there in Giants land. Let's keep it 100, Cowboy Nation. And Garrett Gilbert, too. We sitting here talking about Garrett Gilbert and Cooper Rush and DiNucci. We got to bring in some guys. We can't be comfortable with this. I digress. And it's not me overreacting. These are the truths. These guys have zero command of this offense. I digress.
6-2.
Come on, Martin. You trolling at this time. No way Mike McCarthy feel the same way. That's why he said, look, man, it's not my job. First sign of guilt is when you point the finger to someone else. You got 3 pointing back at you. Damn it, you the head coach. He gave more praises to DiNucci tonight than he gave to praises to Cooper Rush. Let me know if I'm lying. He gave more tonight. Coach Mike McCarthy gave more praises to Ben DiNucci tonight. He said Ben DiNucci looked good on his feet. He got out, he rolled out and made some passes. Mike, Iron Mike, I love you. I love you for being the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. But at some point, you got to be able to will this team all the way up. We're talking about backup quarterbacks, but at this point, you got to stand firm and say, okay, these guys got to play better. These guys, I command better. We on national TV. Regardless of the situation, I need to see 1 or 2 drives that these guys are taking full control, not piece of control, full control. And everybody responded to this offense. It can be possible. What if Dak Prescott had that mindset when he was the backup quarterback? I tell y'all the truth, man.
Backwards. And I get what they're trying to say is that, this would encourage more teams or mandate more teams to be, to dissuade them from tanking and all that. But I don't know. It doesn't look like it's something that the union would go for, and I would understand that.
Yeah, I did not have high hopes about this collective bargaining agreement to begin with, and if this is the opening salvo, I think. And
this is a whole nother show. They didn't turn it off. All right, man. I really appreciate y'all for tuning in all together. All I'm saying is, real talk. I'm not easy to please with this. Knowing that you had Tyrod Taylor that was on the streets during this offseason. Knowing that you could have finagled something and got a legitimate backup quarterback to bring in. That's all I'm saying. They couldn't been looking at this thing saying, okay, all right, Garrett Gilbert, Cooper Rush. And now they force their hands to really look at both of these guys and say, okay, all right, Gary Gilbert had a horrible game this game. Cooper Rush had the horrible game the game before, but he played better in this game. So which way we going to lean with this? Oh, we going to let the Jacksonville Jaguars be that determining factor of which quarterback will get that role? It's a difficult situation. By the way, Arizona game, DiNucci played better than both of those guys. And different flavor, different styles of defense. So you pretty much got three of the same quarterbacks out of the three. DiNucci, Cooper Rush, and Gary Gilbert. It's not like one is light years ahead of the other. Come on. Yeah. It is what it is, though. It's like if I pull this up right quick. Oh, a beautiful trash can. You see the trash can? Regardless, it's trash. Y'all see that? It's trash. It's trash regardless. Ben and Gary has turnovers. It's turning into a troller festival. Yeah. Blake is not coming. DiNucci wasn't even a Power 5 player in college. I wish we had Trubisky. Yeah, it is what it is. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Nation. I'm just saying, and I'm not pointing or picking at these guys, but we need a serviceable backup, and I don't think none of those three guys are it. But we held on to Stephen McGee for a long time, so maybe we'll hold on to these guys even longer, right? I feel y'all, man. But let's continue to grind and shine, Cowboy Nation. We'll be back with a observation. There was still some glowing points of this. 34, he looked pretty good. Tony Pollard looked good, as well as some of the guys, the defense, man. Knowing that Dan Quinn didn't call those plays and those boys still rallied to the ball, man, that was a fantastic situation. I cannot get mad at those guys. Nah, I cannot get mad at those guys on the defensive side of the coin. Cowboy Nation, post me your thoughts, post me your concerns down the line. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Go Cowboys Nation. Let's go. Turn me up. Yo. We out. Peace.